Hi, I'm Peg Keough from College Aid Pro. I'm the Director of Education here at College Aid Pro, and I want to spend today going through the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Finally went live December 31st of 2023. Woohoo! Everybody was waiting. It's live. It is in what's called a soft launch, so there still are some tech glitches. But what I want to do today is show you how to go through this. So hopefully you won't have any issues. We've gone through hundreds of these with families, and we're more than happy to do that with you as well. And so we kind of get a sense of where the glitches are happening. I can't guarantee you're not going to have any, but if you do, take a deep breath. You didn't do anything wrong. It's part of this new FAFSA. The technology was majorly revamped. And so it's not a seamless transition to the new one. So you got to have a lot of patience here. But I'm going to go through the flow of the form, so you should be prepared, less stressed to get in there. The first thing you're going to need to do to start this whole FAFSA process is you're going to need to get what's called an FSA ID, Federal Student Aid ID. If you've done the FAFSA before and you're a parent for older kids, you've got your FSA ID and password, you're good. You don't need to do anything. For a new student, the new student needs the password. And if this is your first child that you're going through this process with, a parent or parents are going to need it. It depends on the family. If the family is married, filing jointly, then one parent will need it. If you're divorced, the custodial parent, which is defined as the parent who provided the most financial support on a year look back from when you're submitting the form, that's the parent that's going to submit the financial aid form, the FAFSA, with the child. So that's the parent that's going to get the FSA ID. And then there's other variations depending on how you filed your taxes and different things. So at least one parent will need it and potentially more than one. So it just depends on your family. So that's the first thing you want to do. Once you have that, you're going to be ready to roll to start your FAFSA. When you do it, you're going to submit a password and a username and a password and some security questions. And your information is going to go to the Social Security Administration. They're going to send you an email, hopefully within a day or two, but it might take longer, saying you've been processed. You want to wait to get that to log in, ideally, to make sure you're processed, okay? Once you have that, that's what you're going to use to log in. You can't get into the FAFSA without the FSA ID and password. So now what I'm going to do is share my screen and show you the process to start your FAFSA and get in there and show you what it's going to look like, okay? So you should be seeing my screen. I'm going to turn off my video here. So you want to go to FAFSA.gov. It's going to take you to studentaid.gov/da-da-da-da-da-da, but FAFSA.gov is easy to remember. Just go there, you'll hit this page, and you're going to hit Start New Form. When you hit that, you are going to want to log into the student's FAFSA, your child's FAFSA. You have your child there and you're there with their FSA ID and password. We are recommending this as best practice. Start with your student's FAFSA, that part. So use their FSA ID and password, put it in to log in, and then it's going to authenticate you. You're either going to choose to have a text sent to the cell that the student uses or an email. You're going to get that code and you're going to plug the code in. This is the same thing that you do with many other sites that require this. So this is not, shouldn't be a new concept to you. So you're going to go ahead and do that. And then you will be in the FAFSA. And we're starting with the student. So on this page, you're going to mark student because you're the student starting the form, starting the FAFSA. Then there's a series of 4 videos. And if this is brand new to you and you don't know much about this, you might want to take a few minutes and watch the video on each page. You're going to hit continue. There's also quite a bit of information below some of the videos. So it might be really helpful to you to get a sense of what you're doing and why you're doing it. Then the student's going to be asked, what state do they live in and how long have they been there? Pretty straightforward. Then there's going to be an agreement. You need to provide consent and approval. If you don't, you will be ineligible for federal, state, and possibly institutional aid, most likely, which is the endowment money from the colleges. When you sign this agreement, you are consenting for them to move your federal tax information, they call it FTI, into the FAFSA. And the student's going to do this, and the parents are going to do it. They're called contributors. That's the people that are contributing information to the FAFSA. Has nothing to do with contributing to the cost to pay for this child's education. It truly means contributing to the FAFSA. So they need to consent and contribute their information. So you want to look through this agreement and then sign it at the bottom, click agree. You will get an email saying, thank you for consenting. The FAFSA will keep moving. Without doing this, you're stuck. All right, so now remember, we're in the student FAFSA. There's going to be questions about personal circumstances. Pretty straightforward. You're going to go through and answer those questions. You can see up here, here's the flow of the new FAFSA. Personal circumstances, demographics, financials. You're going to enter all your colleges, up to 20 you can put in now, and then you're going to sign, okay? These personal circumstances questions, as you flow through them, will decide if you're a dependent or an independent student based on your answers. Also in this section, the student is going to be asked to invite the relevant contributors that are needed. And this is going to differ from family to family. But you might, for this sample that I'm showing you, the student is being told in this first column on the left to fill in the parent's information. I have a big red arrow there that says, it is pointing to a small little line that says, do not fill out this section unless otherwise instructed. So follow the instructions. If you're married, don't fill in both columns with the parent information. They're not telling you to do that. Just fill in the left column. They want you to fill in both columns or give more information. Just take it slowly and read all the information. Don't whip through this without reading. It's very important to read everything and follow the instructions. So the student, and if you're with your child, you're going to fill in your information and hit send invite. Don't worry about that invite. That's going to be in your inbox. We'll deal with that later. You're going to continue in the student FAFSA. There are some dependent students that need to provide parent financial information for their FAFSA to be eligible, but some families are doing this because they want their child to be eligible for what's called direct federal unsubsidized loans. Don't worry about what that means, but this question is saying, and you need to read it, are the students' parents unwilling to provide their information, but the student doesn't have an unusual circumstance that prevents them from needing to submit it? If they're unwilling to submit this information, they don't have a special circumstance, then hit yes. Don't read this quickly and say, oh, yes, of course we want to apply for loans, and hit yes. You need to hit, most families are probably going to hit no, saying the parents are willing to submit their information on their part of their FAFSA. So read it carefully and answer it how it should be answered for your family. Now we're in the demographics section up here. Many of these questions will say prefer not to answer. That's how you feel. Mark it. It's not going to affect your aid eligibility at colleges. So don't overthink it. Just say prefer not to answer and move through the demographics questions. Then you're going to be in the finances section. Financials, you see, we're already on step 3. Okay. Again, just follow the questions. This one is asking if you filed certain forms. There's a question about family size. This is all about tax year 2022. So you should go look up that tax return and make sure that your current reality is the same as that tax return. If it isn't, you can update it on this page in this field and hit continue. So you want to know what you put on your 2022 return. Okay, number in college. This is a very important question. There's more than one child that's going to be in school for the 24-25 year. You need to mark that. 3 if you have triplets. 3 if you have 3 kids that are 1 year apart in school, whatever it happens to be. This is a very important question to answer accurately. Then it will ask you about assets. There'll be very minor questions about income. It'll ask if you have foreign income. You just need to mark 0 if that's not the case, but they will not be asking you for adjusted gross income and earnings and what federal taxes you paid. All that information is going to automatically move from the IRS. Remember that agreement that you signed, that was consenting for that to happen. It's happening behind the scenes. They don't call it out. It just happens. So it saves you entering all of that information if you've done FAFSAs before and manually entered it. But they do need to know about your assets. If you receive child support, you're going to put that in there. If and it's for the last calendar year. So that's 2023. That's not about 2022. Okay. I know it gets a little confusing, different time frames, but this is for 2023, the child support you received. Then you're going to put in your assets, checking and savings, whatever the balance is now, right? Net worth of investments, that's going to include all your non-retirement assets, including real estate, equity in your real estate, not your primary home. Okay, so the net worth of your investments that aren't your retirement accounts and real estate. If you're having issues with valuing your real estate and you don't want to overvalue it, you want to be honest, but you don't want to overvalue it, we're more than happy to help you with that. At College Aid Pro, we have a team of experts happy to step in and talk to you for an hour to help you through this. This is a big thing that we help thousands and thousands of families with, the financial aid forms. So that's the total you're going to put in this second field. The third field, if you are a business owner, you now have to put a value for your business. There used to be a small business exclusion. That is gone. This is another area that a lot of families need some guidance on, and we're more than happy to step in and help you at College Aid Pro. You don't want to overvalue your business, but you want to put an accurate value. Some businesses could have a resale value of 0, even though they're thriving, successful businesses. Other businesses no, and this also includes farms, not just businesses. So if you need help with that, keep us in mind. That's the asset page that you need to complete. This is all students, remember, but these same pages are going to be what you're going to see on the parent FAFSA that I'm going to talk about in a minute. Same exact questions. Then you come to the colleges page. You're going to have to put in all the colleges up to 20. If there's more than 20, you can only put 20. You're going to have to wait for the FAFSA to process, which won't be till the end of January at the earliest. And then you're going to have to go back in and add other colleges. But what the easiest way to do this is you're going to put in the state, put in the name of the college. I have an example here. Cornell popped up at the bottom. I clicked it. Boom, it's there. And you just keep doing that until you've got all your colleges in the FAFSA. Then you move on to the summary page. You can click on each one of these carrots, and I recommend you do. Just give it a quick look over. Make sure nothing's jumping out as wrong. You know, maybe you answered something wrong. You can go back in and edit it. This is the time to do that. And then once you're good with everything looks right, then you're going to go to the signature page and you're going to read through this, click that you agree with it. It'll have your name here. You agree with the terms and conditions. You hit sign and submit. The student part of the FAFSA is done. So you've done this section, all good. But remember, in the student FAFSA, the parent was invited as a contributor. One parent, multiple parents, depending on the family situation. So now what that parent needs to do is go and do their part of the FAFSA. Because you notice all the questions were about the student. There were no parent asset questions, parent financial questions at all, because that is done in the parent's part of the FAFSA, which is separate. So the parent is going to get the invite that I mentioned. We strongly recommend that you go in under this invite and hit log in and then you'll follow the prompts. It might say action required, accept invitation. You'll go into your part of the FAFSA. If you, for some reason, don't get an invite, and you look in your spam and you look in your promotions folder, if you have Gmail, don't fret. You can still log in by going to FAFSA.gov and putting in the parent's FSA ID and password. That will take you in. You're going to have to fill out some information about your child because it's not automatically linked to your child's FAFSA. But if you don't get an email, then that's what we recommend doing. But most people are getting the email. So use the email, because then you'll automatically be linked to your child's FAFSA, and their information that needs to be in your FAFSA will populate because you're going through the invite. So we strongly recommend that you do it that way. And I'm just going to show you here the pieces. Once you're in there, you're going to have a demographic section, and then you're going to have a financial section. Your section's going to be very brief on the income part, just like the student section, and then it's going to ask about your assets, just like it did for the student that I just showed you, which is why I'm not showing you a slide, because it's going to be exactly the same. And then you're going to sign as well. So go in through the email. Once you go through those and you sign, you're done. And so the student is going to receive an email that looks like this. It's going to give you some important information. It's going to give you the submission date. That's your proof that you submitted the FAFSA. Keep this email, have your child forward this email to you, print it to PDF, print it, whatever you want to do to make sure you don't lose this. Because if the school comes back and says you didn't submit your FAFSA, this is proof that you did. And there are deadlines to submit these forms. They're delayed this year, but there are deadlines, just like there are every year. There's a DRN number. Don't worry about what that means. And then also, you will be told your estimated student aid index. If there's a glitch, and we've seen glitches where, if the parent goes in first and does their part, we've seen glitches where the student can't get in and sign. That's why I'm recommending the process that I'm recommending, and strongly recommend you follow it. Doesn't mean I can guarantee you won't have any issues, but we haven't seen nearly as many. If you get this and it says unable to calculate SAI, just take a deep breath. It's okay. If you have a submission date, you just got to wait for them to fix whatever's going on the back end. So don't stress about it. It is what it is, right? That's just what's going on this year. So let me turn on my camera again. So that is the FAFSA. Pretty straightforward. Read everything, follow the prompts, and all this information is supposed to be sent to the colleges at the end, not by the end of January, in the end of January. Also, there's something called a FAFSA submission summary. It used to be called the Student Aid Report, the SAR. Your child should be able to log into their FAFSA at FAFSA.gov after the end of January and see the FAFSA submission summary, which will list all the schools. That's just not going to be available to the end of January either. Usually these things would happen 2 to 3 days after submitting the FAFSA, but this year's just a little different. It's just a little different. So you should be all set. If you have questions, even though I walked you through this, you're like, oh, I'm worried about this, reach out to us at College Aid Pro. Our website is collegeaidpro.com. You can email us at support@collegeaidpro.com. Let us know that you'd like to meet with us to go through this, or if you think you made a mistake, even on your CSS profile, we're more than happy to book an hour with you and walk you through this, relieve your stress, help you make any corrections, tell you what your next steps are if you think you made a mistake. That's what we're here for. We're here to support you on this journey. So I hope this video has been really helpful. And as always, happy planning.